What's up, guys? Sean, let's do the For Dummies. I have a moment in time from my night shift. And I thought I would show you guys because a question came up in the comments. Actually, it was an email regarding cutting your barrel. And I know I think I've spoke about it, but I've never demonstrated actually how I do it. So things I use to cut my own barrel to length. Now, I'm only cutting it to length. I am not threading it for any sort of accessories. I have never gone that far yet. And that may prove to be a little more difficult with hand tools as opposed to if you had a lathe. So this video is strictly cutting your barrel to a custom length. And it's how I do it, not how you should do it, but it should give you an idea. So first things you need is a barrel that you want to cut. In this case, I'm going to use an M17 stock barrel. The reason I've chosen this barrel is, so this is my TIPX. This has a TIPX, come over here, you little bugger. A TIPX based barrel, which is 7/8 diameter. It's designed to fit through the block in here. And these barrels also fit the M17 because if you notice on this M17 barrel, it has reduced shank here. And the reason why I want to use this barrel and eventually this 16 gram conversion is I would like to utilize a 1-inch barrel because, well, if you just saw that 7/8 barrel, I don't know, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't fill out the girth of the marker that well. So you can see there now, with a 1-inch barrel installed, the gap on this sort of the spacing from the top part of the marker here to the barrel looks much better. It's less visible. And I mean, like this is probably a Canon, but it doesn't look the part. And I don't know, I'm always about looking the part. So you need your barrel first. I'm choosing the M17 barrel because it's 1 inch in diameter. It is fatter than my Labco barrel. There's a more better look at it. And you can see this barrel I have actually already cut. This was a previously cut barrel. On to the tools you need. You need a pair of pipe cutters, copper pipe cutters that will open large enough to the diameter of your barrel. And in this case, these are just the standard pipe cutters you'd find at Home Depot. They do sell some much larger ones. Got the switchblade style. If you have an extra large barrel. But your standard sort of 3/4 inch, well, what does it say on here? It says 1/4 inch to 1 3/8. But these are just your standard pipe cutters that you'd find at your hardware store. A Sharpie to mark your barrel length. And I use a 3/4 inch reamer. Actually, sorry, this is a 3/4 inch countersink with a handle on it. And we use this after the fact like this, and I'll demonstrate that as we go through it. First things first, figure out how long a barrel you want. Make sure my CO2 is right in there fully. This first part's kind of be rough, so I want it to be pretty much flush with the end of this CO2. So we're just gonna, I'll use a wet finger like that. What that wet finger is for is just so you can put your painter's tape, which is the next thing you need, on the barrel in an appropriate place. And the reason you put this tape on there is to protect the finish as you are cutting your barrel. Not necessary, but helps keep it looking beautiful. Just a couple of wraps. You don't want to get too crazy. Don't make it too fat. Now you have it on there. Thread your barrel back in. Here's the important part, Sharpie. I mean, you could use a measuring tape or what have you, but I'm just doing approximately because it's not really important at this point. There you go. That's where I want to cut it. See, that's about 50-50. It's in the center of the green tape. And the reason for that is because when this pipe cutter rolls, you see these rollers on the top here? That is the possibility of marring your barrel finish. So you want to keep it where those rollers are going to stay on the tape. Take your barrel. Take your pipe cutters. Obviously, this is your cutter wheel. Dirty little mosquito. That's your cutter wheel right there. That is your cut point. So line it up with your line that you've drawn. And precision is up to you at this point. I'm not too picky. Just tighten up. You see there, I'm right on the line. At this point, you want to cut this not aggressively like you would a piece of copper pipe. Aluminum is soft, but you need to do it gradually. And the more times you go around this without adjusting your nut here, the smoother your cut's gonna be. So just to get us started, I'll just give it a little twist on there and we'll go around. You see, like I could stop there, but I'm gonna keep going around a couple more times. Actually, a bunch more times. And then I put another little twist on this guy and continue. And you'll feel it, it gets kind of loose. Once you've made a complete nice cut around the circumference, this thing will get really easy. You can't see how I can do it with my one finger. Time to tighten it. Twist. You see I'm using my whole hand, and then as I continue along my path here, it just gets much easier. When it gets easier, twist. You can see those wheels, how they're leaving that mark on the tape there. If you get too aggressive on your nut here, your adjustment, it's gonna just burn through the tape, and you may damage your barrel. You may mark your barrel. And for me, obviously, marking my barrel is unacceptable. And you have to do this for quite some time, especially with a 1-inch barrel. Probably can't see yet. I'll start to see an indentation on the inside of the barrel as this wheel starts to cut through your barrel. Now, as I continue, it is getting much harder to actually turn the pipe cutter. And the reason is this wheel actually starts to get fatter as it goes along. So you do need to put a little more effort in here. Patience. Okay, it just started to get really easy, guys. I'm gonna see if I can see inside there yet. Still, it's hard for you guys to see. There is a ridge forming in there. It won't be long. At this point, I'm just doing like, I don't know, just like a little blip on the wheel. Because it is getting difficult as the deeper this wheel cuts into there. What you don't want though is if the wheel bottoms out and it hits this adjuster here. It's tough to see there, but I still got room to spare. So close. It's like watching paint dry, guys, right? But if you stuck around this long, you're gonna see the end result. Now, hopefully you can see now. See that edge forming in there? It's so fine. It's like right, well, I mean, it's obviously all the way around, but just keep at her. It's about to pop, and when it gets close, I mean, be mindful don't drop it on your marker and scratch it up or what have you. And you see the cut it's making there, right? One thing about this cutter is it will make a very straight cut, but I'll show you what it leaves in its wake. And see that? Boom, came right off. So, there you have it. Your barrel is cut to length. This is just residue on the end here because the tape was kind of getting mashed in there. I'll wipe it off before the end, but right now it's not really important. I'll just give it a little lick here. You can see the finish hasn't been damaged at all. But what this does when you use a cutter like this, you're essentially squishing material out. You're not removing material like a regular saw blade. So in this case, this M17 barrel did best with Grimberg jewels. So I'm going to use Grimberg jewels as my sizing ball. And you'll see, drop it through. And see how it gets stuck at the end? It's because there's a burr on the end of this. And that's where this 3/4 inch countersink comes in. Just gonna move that out of the way so I don't drop all the shavings on there. And very easy by hand, guys. Use a reamer. And you can see, I don't know if you guys can see the shavings coming off. I just do this. That is it. And check it for fitment. Try and keep it straight in there. You don't want to dig it on the side or anything like that. It's pretty forgiving. This one in particular has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cutting surfaces. So it's pretty smooth just to do it by hand. Again, the black ugly crap you can see there is just, it's gum from the tape. So take your projectile and check it. See that? Boop. Right through. And you can see that it leaves a nice chamfered edge. Now I'll go clean this up quick just to wipe all this goo in this front area off here. The only thing that I don't really ever worry about is, so it also leaves a bit of a burr on the outside. It's not sharp by any means. It's more of like a bulge where it mushed the material out. That's never bothered me, so I always just left it. All right, so a little bit of brake clean on a rag. rest of that gum off there. Whoop, bam. All right, so just wash it off. Would I recommend using brake cleaner? No, I really don't care about this barrel too much. Just soap and water will do. There you can see the gum is all cleaned off. It leaves a fairly decent end. You could hit this with some finer grit sandpaper just to smooth it off. There are no sharp edges though. And if you don't like the silver, which I actually don't mind, it kind of has a little flare. You could use a black paint marker to touch up the end, or anything for that matter. So, what's the finished product? Ha! That's pretty cool, right? I mean, suddenly now the squared off front doesn't actually look that bad, huh? It still needs a little bit of finesse there, but yeah, the little stubby with a big fat 1-inch. Wonder how it shoots. Gonna have to subscribe to find out.